Hey everyone, Tyler Beck with Tech and Espresso. So today's kind of a big day for Fusion 360 users. There's a lot going on, a lot of emotions with Fusion 360 right now. A little bit ago, we found out that Autodesk is changing the way they're going to offer the free license or the hobbyist license. So that's changing, and that's a big deal. It's affecting any of those users that are in that hobbyist category. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Here we go. So, just a little bit about me. My background: I'm a mechanical engineer, and I worked for SolidWorks for a number of years. I worked for a big mining company, an engineering company for many years, and we used a lot of solutions there: AutoCAD, Inventor, SolidWorks, things like that. And then I worked for Autodesk for 4 years. And after that, I now work for a configure price quote software company, and we do cool visuals with complex logic behind it, to where you can sell your products on your website, things like that, especially if you have complex products. So I use Fusion 360 pretty often in my day job. And then I make tutorials just to help people in the community on CAD. And I happen to do it on Fusion. So the key thing is I don't work for Autodesk. So I'm going to try to give you my take on what you should do with that going forward, with that license that's offered, and maybe talk just a little bit about what's going on around that. As I read through some of the forums, some of the stuff on YouTube, there's just a lot of people are upset and angry, as well as some people feel like it's completely fair what Autodesk has done. So first thing, I think for how you're feeling, whatever you feel, that's a valid emotion. That's what you feel. Now, what you choose to do going forward, it's your choice if you want to do that based on emotions or based on maybe just what's best on your scenario. I think I would take a minute to understand feeling versus reality. That's what I have to do. So for me, I purchased Fusion 360 on my own. And luckily, eventually, I was able to get my company, we were able to get licenses, and so they take care of my licenses for Fusion. So I don't have to deal with the personal use problem today. But I have a bunch of friends that use Fusion 360 for personal use because it's great. So what should they do, right? That's a good question. What should you do if you're the hobbyist? Well, the first thing is students are not impacted. So I was really relieved to see that. That's huge. I was worried about all those college students out there that are learning Fusion 360 wouldn't be able to. They absolutely, it looks like they can get those those yearly grants of a free license. I think that's awesome. So that's great. Students should keep using Fusion 360 because it sets you up really nicely for other CAD solutions as you go into industry, or it allows you kind of that flexibility to use a tool across different platforms, Mac and PC and all those things. But the one thing I want to say, I keep reading that people are upset that they've wasted all this time investing in Fusion 360, using it for free, but investing and learning it, and now they're going to jump ship and find a new solution. And I totally get that concern. The one thing I would push back on, or I would encourage you, if you're a personal user, is everything you've done to learn a 3D CAD system, it's only going to help you as you transition to any other tool. If you switch to another parametric CAD system, it's going to work really similarly. There's nuances between all of them. Some are easier and some are harder. But at the core of it, if you know how to sketch, extrude, model, surface model, if you can learn those things, build drawings, switching to a new tool isn't nearly as hard as starting from scratch in any of them. So that's one thing I love about Fusion, is learning it. It's very approachable and easy to learn compared to some of those harder to use solutions that I've used. So hopefully that's encouraging. You're not throwing away all that knowledge. Now, the one thing is, all those models you've built that have a timeline in a particular CAD solution, they don't really travel, right? Everything I built in SolidWorks and I bring into Fusion, it imports, but I don't have that history and timeline. And that's where it's sticky for each CAD solution. So I get that if all of your, history and all your models you built over the years in Fusion, now you're trying to export them, that is painful, because they're only the geometry really is going to travel on, right? Now, the thing about that I keep thinking about is, should you jump ship? So first thing is, for me, I'm going to keep using it because I am buying a commercial license. I'm using that through work, and it's awesome. It does everything I need it to do. There's functionality that's missing, but I love using Fusion. Now, the thing that I keep reading is people would be cool with a $10 license, but the $60 license is just too much. And I get that. If you look at your budget and it's not there, then it's not there. You can't justify it. Now, when I purchased it, I purchased on a promo, and I purchased for a year. So that is coming up with more money. But it was, like $25 a month. And I think that's what it is today if you buy a year's worth. So, and maybe you're thinking, well, in a year, what am I going to do? Am I going to have to deal with this problem again or pay full price? And that's true. That's the reality of the challenge. So I think right now is a great time to investigate what are the free tools out there, like FreeCAD and DraftSite and other tools like that they're free. Google SketchUp did have a free tool. Are those worth using? And what kind of results can I get, and how does that compare? So for me, I want to investigate those. And so when my friends ask me what should I use for my home projects and my free just on the side hobbyist stuff, that's what I want to have a great answer for. And I don't know if Fusion 360's personal use, the free one going forward, is going to be usable with the 10 active documents and then the archiving. It sounds like you can still work in a large assembly, but it'll probably take some doing, and I don't know if the hindrance there will be so great that it's really beyond 10 or so subcomponents is where you really just want to buy a full commercial license. The jury's still out for me. I'd like to figure that out and understand what the differences are and what they really mean. When it comes to trying to future-proof yourself on software, I think anytime you're using a free license, you're at risk, right? So people mention using Onshape and how that was great and awesome and approachable, and then all of a sudden they were forced out of it, that they had to buy in a very expensive license, or they had to, just jump ship. So same problem, and people are addressing that Fusion's the same way. I don't think it's as drastic maybe as the shift that Onshape made from their free to their paid. I'm not sure, but it looked like it was a more significant jump at the time. But for Fusion, this is an important step for those personal users, those hobbyist users, is how can you find a solution you can stick with over the years. And anytime you're using free, I think you are at the mercy of the software vendor. So even FreeCAD, say that's the best solution to date. What happens in 16 months, 24 months when they switch and they downgrade their free use license, and they still provide one, but it's not as powerful as it used to be, and their paid version is much better, right? That's the business model that they might be working towards, right? So it's hard to say. They might stay free. So it's just you're at the mercy of that business and how they're going to handle it. So that's something that's hard to prepare for, and that's where I try to pick solutions that I can afford and that bring me a lot of value. And Fusion just fortunately does bring me a lot of value for the price that it's at. But if I had to pay for one tomorrow, I would purchase Fusion. I would. If my company didn't provide it for me, I would buy it and I would use it because I'm just that efficient and that comfortable with the tool, and the the breadth of tools for me is worth the money. Like when I'm used to paying, you know, a lot more money for a SolidWorks license, and then Inventor licenses, things like that, that's a lot more money. So I think for Fusion, the value is definitely still there, but I totally understand when you're used to just, you don't want to fork out money for a robotics hobby, for building decks, for all those personal projects that, you know, people are using it for today. They don't want to find that additional money to put towards it. I totally understand that. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please keep it professional. Please keep it respectful on this channel. I want people to feel safe to share their ideas, share their opinion. This is just my opinion. I hope it was a little bit helpful for you, and I'll be looking for that. What's the best free tool out there for 3D modeling and for 3D printing? I want to know what it is. So I'm going to keep looking, but I'm also going to keep making Fusion tutorials here on the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.